Evening once again, everyone. So in the last class, we started our, will I call it or will I term it project series now? Yeah, project series, where I said we're going to be working on a particular data set. Started looking at this particular project 2 classes ago, and we started off with data cleaning. We cleaned the data, we did some transformation, got the columns that we needed. We asked ourselves, what questions do we need to answer? So we said, oh, what questions do we need to answer? Things like that. And we brought out this. We said, oh, we're going to be evaluating sales performance, basically. And in evaluating sales performance, we highlighted some questions that we said, oh, we might be interested in seeking a solution for. Yeah. So we did that simply. And then we went ahead to transform the data, got the required columns into this table. Then we converted this range into a table. Okay, and we did that because we said, oh, it makes it very easy. We said you make it very easy, or it makes it very easy for you to insert your pivot table. Once you know the name of your table where you have your data, just very easily you go ahead and just, put in the name of the data and it inserts the pivot table on it, isn't it? So that was all we did in the last class, and then we inserted our first pivot table. So we started our first pivot table, which led us to getting the sum of sales by the company, by the month, sum of sales by the month. Okay, and that was all we did. So in today's class, we are going to take it up from there, and we're going to start looking at how to make use of the pivot table to, answer those remaining questions. I think I remember asking us to even see if you can try it out yourself. Okay. But we're going to take a look at every single one of them today. Okay. How can we use the pivot table to, effectively navigate those questions? So we want to evaluate the sales performance by different categories. Now, some of you mentioned that I should also show you dashboarding, how to create dashboards in Excel, which I said I would, but then, although dashboard in Excel is not part of the syllabus, but I said I was going to include it definitely for you. Okay, but you need to make sure that whenever you are creating or analyzing your data, whether in Excel or Power BI or something else, it is not all the analysis of visuals that you put on your dashboard. Okay, it's not all the analysis of visuals that you put on your dashboard. So you can analyze your data, and the reason is because your dashboard is going to be a summary. Okay, a brief summary. So most times it doesn't contain everything, all the analysis that you did. It doesn't. Okay, so what you're going to do is, if you know, oh, you have a presentation to make. Okay, you have a presentation to make regarding the analysis. All right, so you have to generate a report which you are going to present. Then you can do an extensive analysis on one end, and during the analysis, you take or you note down key insights that might not make it to your dashboard. You note them down. You add it to your report as bullet points. You can also add the visuals as well to your report. That's maybe your PowerPoint presentation or whatever you're going to be using to present. Okay. So now, we're looking at these questions or this evaluation of the sales performance by quite a number of variables here. We already looked at the sales performance by country. This is performance, not performance. Okay, so we've already looked at the sales performance by country, but we can still do one or two on that particular end, just to get one or two other insights. Okay, so let's quickly go back to our pivot table. Like I said, if you want to insert a pivot table, you can do it by, coming to your data source. Your pivot table extracts its data from the data that you have in your Excel sheets or model, but we're not dealing with models yet, okay? So what you have, the data that you have on your spreadsheet is what you convert to a normal table. Then you now say, oh, summarize with pivot table. Yeah, say summarize with pivot table. So on that table design at the top here, you click on summarize with pivot table. Okay, but now the thing is, you don't have to always come back here. So you are coming here all the time, coming back here all the time to come and be clicking summarize with pivot table. You don't have to do this. Okay, so what you can do is once you have already done this once and you already have a pivot table. So let's say this is the sheet I am using for my analysis. Okay, you can divide your analysis into multiple sheets, analysis by the country, analysis by the state, things like that, whatever it is you want to do. Okay, but once you have your pivot table drawn out like this, you have the first one. To insert another pivot table, what you can do is you can simply say, copy the first pivot table. Now, in copying the first pivot table, you need to make sure you copy everything. Highlight everything that is part of that pivot table. Okay, not that I will highlight and I will only highlight here. No. Or I will say I'm highlighting, I only highlight here. No. You have to highlight the entire thing on that pivot table. All right. So once you highlight this, you click Ctrl C to copy. Then you come to a new area where you want to paste it. Click on that cell and press Ctrl V to paste. So it pastes the same thing. All right. Now, a thing to note here is that once you paste it, it should bring up the pivot table fields once again for you. Okay. It should bring up the pivot table field once again for you. So if you paste and it does not bring up the pivot table for you and you don't have pivot table analyze at the top here, then it means you did not copy and paste it properly. Let me show you what I mean. So probably you did something like this now. You only highlighted from here to here. If you come to a new cell, then you now paste Ctrl V. You see that it did not bring out that pivot table analyze for me. Okay, so that is the idea. All right, so you are going to highlight the entire thing like this, copy it, then come into a new cell and paste. So once you paste, you have this, and then you can now on the pivot table field, change whatever it is you want to change. Okay. So once you change everything that you want to change, you have the new analysis on it. You have the new analysis on it. Okay. So that is one way. Another
Endeavor to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thank you. See you in our next class. Bye.